Money. How does that word make you feel? Is it a rush of adrenaline, rupee signs running through your head like a slot machine? Perhaps you feel motivated, ready to send those work emails you have been putting off, or spend an extra hour studying for that exam you know will secure your future. Or maybe you don't feel so good when you hear that word. Maybe the mere mention of money causes your hands go clammy, your heart rate to rise, and your mind was like, you don't need or you don't want more money. Whatever your response is, we all have one. Because as they say, पैसा बोलता है. Not a day goes by for most of us that we don't consume, spend, study, or merely think about money. You could be the driver of a luxury car in a city like Mumbai, or a person selling vegetables by the roadside in a village. On one level or another, money matters to all of us. Yet for as much as money matters, it's surprising how much we don't know about it. And a lot of things we think we know about are just plain wrong. This is a crash course of how the world and the world of high finance are intertwined in hopes that in the end we will know that much more about this illusion that keeps the economic world spinning. Contrary to what you might think, money as we know it today, at least in its physical form, has remained largely unchanged for millennia. The first sign of what we might think of as a banknote took the form of a piece of leather in China in 118 BCE, and 900 years later, paper currency came into existence. It would be several hundred more years before this kind of currency would make its way to Europe and then the rest of the world. Centuries have passed, yet the basic concept of invented by the Chinese aren't that distinguishable from what we have today. In fact, the only real difference is what these notes and coins represent. The first real global system of value and currency was the gold standard, which began in England in the early 1800s. It tied currency's value directly to established value of gold. So in a country like India, a rupee was based at a certain amount of gold. This system was set up to provide a stable monetary environment around the world. But as with all natural resources, the supply of gold was not as fixed as we originally thought. As a result, countries began dropping it as a means to measure the value of money. In 1971, the US officially favored the convertibility between dollars and gold, which had a global impact. By that time, the US dollar was seen as a global standard currency. So once the dollar was no longer dictated by the value of gold, pretty much nothing else was. If the value of dollar or any currency is no longer determined by the value of gold, what exactly makes 1 rupee worth 1 rupee? Well, instead of a commodity based system like the gold standard, we now have something called fiat currency, which has no intrinsic value as is instead backed by the government. What gives today's rupee its value is the economic supply and demand in India, controlled by the governmental financial system. In India, RBI controls the supply of money. But as we can see in the growing number of digital transactions in UPI payment, money printing is a dying business. So if the RBI isn't literally printing money, how exactly does gas come into circulation? The vast majority of money exists only as numbers on the computer. Incredible amounts of money digitally credited to commercial banks by the RBI. This central bank controls how much money is it deposits into commercial banks based on the economic situation of the country. During the early stages of the pandemic, the Indian government sent direct cash transfers to Jan Dhan accounts to support people in need. But that is an extreme case. Most of the time, that is not how money ends up with us. Here is how it usually works. The RBI sends money to banks and credit unions nationwide, and they in turn distribute that money into the economy by lending it to their customers. This brings us to the topic of debt. Around 80% of the Indians are in some kind of debt, yet many people don't know what exactly debt is and how its moving parts work. What we do know and what is backed by several studies is that even the idea of paying off debt can be a severe emotional strain. No one wants to owe anyone anything. But with the cost of living vastly outpacing the money we earn for a living, loans are the necessity everyone gets, yet most can't live without. You get a loan to purchase your car, start your small business, go to college, or even buy a house. Very few people can afford a house with the money in their bank account. Yet all of us need a roof over our head. So some people choose to rent while others decide to take out a loan from the bank in the form of a mortgage. Banks aren't charity organizations. They are built to make profit. And the way they do that is through interest. Interest is the amount you, the borrower, pay to use the money a bank or financial institution has loaned you. Think of it like the rent you pay on your apartment every month. You don't own the apartment, but you get to use that for a fee. In the same way, you don't own the money you use to purchase your house, but you get to use it for a fee. And this buy now, pay later model doesn't only exist for big purchases like a house or a car. It has permeated our entire society so much that most of things we purchase now exist in this model, especially since the creation of the credit card. Don't have enough cash for the new sofa? Hey, put it on the credit card. Want to get a new smartphone? Pay a monthly fee for that telecom provider. Heck, even household appliances follow the same model. You now use credit card to pay for even small things like a meal, a new pair of shoes, or groceries. If we pay our balances on time for those purchases, we can avoid the interest rates that credit card companies charge and we'll be fine. But for a lot of us, especially in the hard times, we tend to build interest on our cards, which can quickly lead to a pretty bad spot financially. Credit cards can help provide a financial buffer in a bind if needed, but they also come with the element of risk. So are they worth it? There are mixed feelings about this. Some people think that using credit cards is a surefire way to send yourself straight into sinking debt, but others see frequent credit card use as a way to build good credit, which if you've ever leased an apartment or bought a car is an important part of daily life these days. Whichever side of the fence you are on, one thing we can all agree on is that you need to be careful when using credit cards so that you don't overspend or dig yourself into most deeper debt than is necessary. By being wise with your credit, savings, and increasing your income, you can have enough disposable income to finally do what every financially stable person suggests: invest. Investing basically means committing your money to something to earn a financial return. It's making your money work for you. One mantra in investing world is the greater the risk, the greater the reward. Investments like bonds are safer but offer lower returns, while investing in individual stocks can provide incredibly high returns but are also extremely risky. And let's not even get started on cryptocurrency. We will need an entire video to go over investing properly. In the end, if we get the opportunity to do so, our goal is to build our wealth to increase how much we are worth. And that's the entire point of money. To show how much something or someone is worth. How much is a carefree retirement to you? That will inform how much money you put away in your retirement account. What about a car? You might splurge on a luxury vehicle because it's worth it to us to enjoy the extra comfort and social status. The byproduct of this is that as a society, we become obsessed with the idea of worth, from material goods to worldly possessions to personal worth, and even that publications like Forbes and Bloomberg's publish wealthy individuals' net worth, assigning a number to someone's success. To create this list, dozens of reporters track down millionaires and billionaires all across the world, collect their personal information, add up all of their presumed assets, and subtract their liabilities. So if Mukesh Ambani owns a significant share of Reliance Industries and we add up his assets like Antilia, his cars, and we subtract the liabilities that goes in his comfort, we should be able to identify his net worth. That simple addition and subtraction seems deceptively easy, doesn't it? That's because it is. But it's hard to get reliable data, and it's hard to figure out exactly where wealthy people store their money. Many of the wealthiest people in the world are investment bankers, but on a day-to-day basis, there is no way to know the composition of the firm's portfolio. This directly dictates the wealth of those who run it. There is also discrepancies when it comes to celebrities' wealth. Perhaps where the most of our obsession lies. For example, Shahrukh Khan's wealth isn't just valuable because of his earnings from films. It's valuable because his brand endorsements and business ventures. His wealth is wrapped up in his personal brand and vice versa. So the equation becomes even more complicated. I hate to break it to you, but most celebrities' networks are basically guesses and not really an accurate portrayal of how much they control. So why are we glued to this list? Are we ultimately comparing ourselves in the world's richest people, allowing ourselves to be fascinated by financial wealth at our own expense? The truth is, while learning about money and understanding how the economic system works will not guarantee you a spot on Forbes billionaire list, it can give you peace of mind. Knowing a thing or two about money can help us see the world little more clearly and not feel so overwhelmed by economic news. Because although having money isn't everything, but not having it is. Subscribe for more insights into finance and business. Let's navigate this journey together.